on another episode of Things to Avoid, we're going to talk today about reactive abuse. And I'm going to tell you why you should avoid reactive abuse. But first, let's talk about what it is. Now, if you ever lashed out against someone, say an abuser, it doesn't make you abusive. And I'm going to tell you why. Reactive abuse happens when a victim lashes out against an abuser, physically or verbally. Now, unlike mutual abuse, reactive abuse only occurs when the victim is pushed to the breaking point. I'm going to give you some examples just now. And the thing about it is the abuser may use the victim's reaction as a way to manipulate the narrative. Many times they like to use that reaction, the reaction of the victim, to justify or even to show or to more or less slant the view of others of who is actually abusive in the situation. So let me give you an example. For instance, if you are working at a particular place and you have co-workers, and every morning, as soon as you reach the work, you reach work at 8 o'clock. You reach your work 8 o'clock, and one of your co-workers every morning insults you. So, for instance, you reach, say, 8 o'clock. Every morning, your co-worker says, "Hey, you're late, you're slack. What kind of horrible person you are? You're unprofessional." And every morning, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, same thing they tell you as soon as you reach the work. You might reach to the breaking point where you get fed up of that insult, and you may say something back to them. You may curse them. You may insult them. That is reactive abuse. You are reacting to constant insults, constant abuse from someone else. You are acting out of character. So that is what reactive abuse is. It forces you to act out of character in response to repeated actions of abuse from someone else. So say, for instance, give me another example. You're in a relationship with someone, and they constantly nag you, constantly insult you, constantly pushing buttons, and you are a quiet, normal person. It control yourself. But they constantly create a fight. Start a fight out of nowhere. And it constantly happens. They insult you, so on. To the point that at some point you get so upset about the constant insults and abuse that you say something bad to them. Then that's reactive abuse. And it happens a lot. A lot of times you have domestic situations where the trigger for the physical abuse, and the physical abuse is really reactive abuse. Because one party was only instigating the situation, triggering the whole situation, and then that's the abuser constantly manipulating, causing issues. And then the victim is really the person that reactively abuses the individual. So in response to the constant nagging and abusing, they end up doing something to the person. So that is reactive abuse. The person is reacting or doing something in response to constant actions of abuse from the other individual. So it is something you need to avoid, because what happens a lot is that the actual abuser now may record the reactive abuse by the victim. And now utilize those recordings or text messages. It could be text messages, it could be recordings, it could be in public. They could use that now to paint you as the problem, to paint you as the abuser, when you are really the victim and you are reactively abusing. And they are the real perpetrators causing the whole scenario. So this happens a lot, and you should avoid reactively abusing. If somebody is nagging you or doing anything abusive to you, you need to remove yourself from the situation, or at best control your response. Control your response so that you do not end up reactively abusing and ending up looking like the abuser when you really are the victim. So avoid reactive abuse. Well, I hope this was beneficial to you all. I'll see you all on the next episode.